The Stolen Crown. In the old days, before Nigeria became one country, there was a kingdom in the western forest near what is now called Nigeria. The kingdom was small but proud. It was part of the old Yoruba land. The king wore a heavy crown made of beads and brass. It was not just decoration, the crown was sacred. It carried the name of the ancestors. It carried power. The people believed the crown protected the land. This is not just a story. Many sacred objects were taken from African kingdoms during wars and colonial times. Some were sold. Some were locked in faraway museums. Some were never returned. This story is about one crown that was stolen. The year was 1897. Soldiers came from the coast. They came with guns. The people had never seen such weapons before. The soldiers said they came in the name of trade and peace, but they carried fire. When the fighting started, it did not last long. The palace was burned. The storehouses were broken open. Masks, stools, and drums were taken. The royal crown was wrapped in cloth and carried away. An old palace guard named Adisa saw everything. He hid behind a broken wall and watched as a tall white officer lifted the crown and laughed. Adisa whispered, "The ancestors will not be silent." The officer did not hear him. The crown was taken to the coast. It was loaded onto a ship. The ship was headed to Europe. 3 days after leaving the shore, the tall officer who stole the crown fell sick. He had no wound, no fever at first. He just stopped sleeping. At night, he screamed. He said he saw a man standing at the foot of his bed. The man wore white cloth and a crown of fire. The officer said the man had no face. The ship doctor said it was stress. On the 7th night, the officer ran out of his cabin and jumped into the sea. They never found his body. The other soldiers did not talk about it, but they wrapped the crown in more cloth. Years later, the crown was placed in a museum in Europe. Some say it was in London. Some say it passed through Berlin first. Records were not clear. It sat behind glass. A small label said, "West African Tribal Crown, late 19th century." No mention of the kingdom, no mention of blood. People came and looked at it. They took notes. They made drawings. At night, the guards said the lights flickered near the display. One guard named Thomas wrote in his report that he heard soft drumming after midnight. He thought it was pipes, but the sound did not stop. Boom, 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 slow and steady, like a heartbeat. After some years, strange things started happening around the crown. The glass case cracked twice for no clear reason. The room temperature would suddenly drop. One cleaner refused to enter the room again. She said she saw footprints on the floor in the morning, bare feet, wet, like someone had just walked in from rain. But the floor had been dry the night before. The museum director did not believe in curses. He said these were old superstitions. Then his only son died in a car crash. The director resigned 2 weeks later. He never spoke about the crown again. Meanwhile, back in Nigeria, the old kingdom had changed. There was a new chief. The palace had been rebuilt, but the sacred crown was still gone. The elders said something was wrong with the land. The river dried faster each year. Crops failed more often. Young men left and never returned. An old woman named Iya Morenike began to dream of a crown covered in dust. In her dream, a voice said, "Bring me home." She told the chief. At first, he laughed, but then his daughter fell sick. No doctor could explain it. She spoke in her sleep in a voice that was not hers. return what was taken. The chief became afraid. In 2018, a Nigerian historian named Kunle traveled to Europe. He was doing research on stolen African art. He visited a museum archive in London. There, in an old storage room, he saw it, the crown. He knew it at once from old drawings in palace records. The beads were faded, but the pattern was clear. He felt cold when he touched the glass. The room felt heavy. Kunle asked for documents. He found reports about broken glass, strange sounds, and staff who quit suddenly. One report mentioned the officer who died at sea in 1897. Kunle felt something was not right. He began to push for the crown to be returned. Before leaving London, Kunle asked for one more visit to the archive. He went alone. The lights were dim. He stood in front of the crown and whispered in Yoruba, "We have not forgotten you." The air changed. The lights went off. He heard it, drumming, soft at first, then louder. Boom, boom, boom. He turned and saw a shape at the end of the hallway, a tall figure in white cloth, no face, just darkness where the face should be. Kunle could not move. The figure did not walk. It slid forward. Then it stopped near the crown. Kunle heard a voice inside his head. Home. The lights came back on. The hallway was empty. Kunle fell to the floor shaking. The next day, he sent a strong letter demanding repatriation of the crown. In 2022, after long talks, the museum agreed to return some stolen objects to Nigeria. This part is real. Many African artifacts have been returned in recent years. The crown was placed in a wooden crate. On the day it left Europe, a staff member fainted near the loading dock. He later said he heard drums. When the crown arrived in Nigeria, elders gathered. They did not celebrate loudly. They were quiet. They carried the crown into the rebuilt palace. The air felt lighter. That year, the rains came early. The chief's daughter recovered. People said it was coincidence. Maybe it was. The crown is now kept in a sacred room, not on open display. The elders say the spirits are calm now, but they also say this: sacred things are not just objects. They hold memory. They hold pain. And when you steal something that carries the soul of a people, it does not stay quiet. Some nights, old men in the village say they still hear drums in the distance, not loud, not angry, just steady, like a reminder. Boom, boom, boom. The stolen crown came home, but not every stolen thing has returned, and some spirits are still waiting.
Thanks for watching. Kindly give a like, comment, and subscribe for more videos.